it's just fun garden, right? .com.
Yeah. And are you through yet? Ooh, we're close, huh?
Yeah.
I want to know if cactus are succulents. I don't think they are. I think there's a difference. Can you ask the computer? Are cactus succulents?
Are succulents.
Are succulents.
In order to be considered a cactus plant, a plant must have areoles. Assholes. All right, let's see. Go back
All
here.
right. Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you.
No problem. Here are 2-minute countdowns. Our podcast. 2-minute countdown. Whoops.
I got a whole bunch of jokes I'm going to tell today. There's somebody playing a violin.
Oh. Okay. Where's the sink at? Oh, wait. Ah. Here it is. Okay.
KDXI, St. George.
Scared me.
All right.
Okay, here's a quick look at your temperatures for the weekend of May 11th and May 12th. For the greater Dixie area today, highs 79 and lows 55. And for Sunday, Mother's Day, highs 85 and lows 58. For Zion National Park today, highs 75 and lows 50. And for Sunday, highs 82 and lows 52. For Bryan Head Village today, highs 39 and lows 27. And for Sunday, highs 46 and lows 31. For Radio Dixie and Radio St. George, this is Dennis Mattinson, and have a great Go Do It weekend.
Next time on your weekly constitutional, The Trials of Nina McCall. Author Scott Stern is going to tell us the sordid and astonishing tale of thousands of American women who were grabbed on the streets, hauled off to prison, and kept there on suspicion of having sexually transmitted diseases, or sometimes simply for being quote unquote promiscuous.
Yeah.
No due process here, folks.
Your weekly constitutional, Saturday mornings at 10 on Radio St. George 100.3. On Saturday, May 18th, St. George Races presents the St. George Fit Games with 2 different competition styles. Style 1, CrossFit St. George, with teams of 4 competing in 3 different events. Style 2, the Grip Ninja, with a timed Ninja Warrior course. Get signed up now at sgcity.org. The St. George Fit Games, Saturday, May 18th at the Dixie Sun Bowl, brought to you by St. George Races. Hi, this is Michael Harding.
This is Christina Harding.
And we're here for On the Arts. Come join us as we blow the lid off of all of these little artistic secrets we have here in St. George and Southern Utah. Go ahead and listen to us on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 4 p.m. till 5.
On Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
Listen to The Pulse, Saturdays at 11 a.m. on Radio St. George 100.3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to KDXI St. George, Radio St. George at 100.3 FM. Darkness presents you the Garden Show with Artie and Woody. It's time to find out, how does your garden grow? Here are your hosts for the Garden Show, Artie and Woody.
All right, folks, broadcasting live from the beautiful campus of Dixie State University. It's time for the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie on Radio St. George 100.3 KDXI. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
And we want to thank Sean Dedovan for letting us do the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie. And Sean's a trooper.
He's
an
the
awesome
grand
guy.
poobah.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we do the we do the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie every Saturday morning, and on Facebook and YouTube anytime. So live every Saturday morning at 8, or anytime at your leisure on Facebook and YouTube. And Woody, you could call the show.
I can?
Yeah. Let's see. 435-879-4100, or they can text us. Is that exciting or what? They can call or text us.
It really gets me going.
Or I forgot our website. Oh, I don't something. Oh, wait, hold on. It's radio.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Oh, anyway, we'll find out later. No, wait, Radio St. George. Oh, who knows? Who cares? All right, so I'll leave a comment on our Radio St. George 100.3 Facebook page if you'd like to ask a question or call us. And what are we going to talk about today, Woody?
We're going to talk about you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
you look particularly beautiful.
Oh, yes. I spent
You
last.
really do.
Oh, thanks. I woke up 2 hours early just to put my makeup on and do my hair.
The leader of the clan. He's the he's the poopah of the mountain.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
What was it in Lord of the Rings? The dwarfs in the mountain. But that's okay because they mine gold and diamonds and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you look really good today.
Oh, right back at
and
you.
it's
You
great
look
to
stunning.
be here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to do the show with you every Saturday morning. Now I got up early, super early, because I like to sell my plasma.
Oh boy.
Yep, I'm selling my plasma. Okay, so I got this satellite dish, and I promised myself, okay, look, satellite is really expensive. If you want a freaking satellite dish, you've got to actually
pay for
it with your own blood.
Oh.
So I watch TV by paying for it with my plasma money.
Yeah.
So and I have a lot going on today. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was bleeding into a
oh boy
a bottle just so I could watch MSNBC, CNN, and Fox,
and all that stuff.
and all that
Those
stuff.
political programs, you like those?
Oh, I love the political stuff.
I
I call them my cartoon channels.
Yeah.
my cartoon shows. I want to watch my cartoon shows, and then I turn on CNN and Fox, and it's good comedy. Hey, speaking about good comedy and speaking about great content, we're going to provide some great content on the radio right now. Here we go. We're going to talk about gardening.
Gardening.
Here we go. Ready?
First thing
go.
I want to talk about is water.
Okay.
And Thursday night we had a rainstorm.
Okay.
We got about 1.25 inches of water, which is like a record for the last 200 years.
And you text messaged me.
Yeah, and I said, turn off your sprinkler control.
And I should have read the text message because I thought
you can't read. You can't read,
well,
I guess.
I was going to get back to it, but I thought your text message was going to tell me to turn it on for 10 more minutes every day.
No, yeah.
And so I was thinking, 10 minutes, okay. And then I have to get out this the booklet for the watering machine.
So he is one of these guys where it is absolutely pouring outside, pouring, running off of everything, and his sprinklers are gone.
Well, the automatic sprinkler machine, I need to have the directions.
Yeah.
Because I had to get some directions actually especially made for me with pictures and cartoons and drawings and stuff.
Well, maybe I could come over and just stand there by it
possibly,
so that you have a question.
Or you can make a video. Yeah. A video of a little tutorial.
How to adjust Artie's box.
Exactly. Because I need help with my box.
Anyway, down here where we have a little bit of a problem having enough water, I actually turned mine off, and I haven't turned them back on, and I probably won't until about Monday or Tuesday, because 1 inch of water is an awful lot of water. And a question that I thought was something that would be worth sharing is sometimes when it rains like that, people wonder, I water all the time, I give my lawn enough water, and then it rains and my lawn looks really good and everything perks up. What's the difference between a rainstorm and my sprinklers? And there actually is a difference.
Is there? What's the difference?
The biggest difference is if it was 2 weeks ago we had a rainstorm where we had lightning and thunder, and actually what happens in that type of storm is as the raindrops are falling and the lightning is lightning or whatever you want to call it, it charges the particles of water with nitrogen. So as the water falls in a thunderstorm, a lightning storm, it actually is watering your lawn and fertilizing it.
Oh, is it?
So that's why all your plants, your lawn, and everything the next day are singing happy songs.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, they're excited. Now, I don't know about the other night, Thursday night, because I slept through the storm, but I don't know if it had lightning or not. But even if it doesn't have lightning, as the rain falls, the water droplets, they pick up particles in the air. So when they fall to the surface, even if they are not charged with nitrogen, they pick up little organic particles that waters your lawn and feeds it a little bit.
So it's better for it.
So it's better for it.
Well,
it really is. So 1 inch of rainwater is worth, a lot of sprinkler water.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yesterday, I drove up to Cedar City. You know where that is, Artie?
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
North of here.
I went to school in Cedar City.
Were you able to find the school okay?
Yes.
Okay. Did they have a control box that you had to turn on and off or anything?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I drove up there yesterday, and lo and behold, I got to New Harmony. And New Harmony, from New Harmony to Cedar City, looks like Kentucky.
Oh, really?
It is so green, and the grass is so high. The hills, the mountains are are emerald green. It looks like Ireland.
Oh, wow.
It is absolutely gorgeous up there.
Huh.
And on the way up, all the wildflowers are blooming. You know, in the desert, we have seeds, like for the Seagull lily and these different flowers,
Mhm.
and they'll sit in the soil for 7, 8 years until we have a wet year.
Hmm.
And then the seed is germinated and it grows and it blooms. And that's why this year, the desert's going to look really, really good in another couple of weeks.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be neat. The drive to Salt Lake should be really pretty this year,
Awesome.
which
awesome,
is
awesome.
good because I'm going up there next week.
Oh, for wedding, I think.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
There was a wedding I was supposed to go to last night. I just
Yeah.
I don't do weddings.
Well, I've been together with Mama for 54 years
Uh-huh.
next month,
Oh.
and I thought it was time I'd marry her to make her feel better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna get another wife.
No, not me. What?
That's not you.
No, I've got the best there is. I'm not.
Oh,
gonna-
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna do get a couple more
No,
weddings.
I got the
Do a
best.
couple more
I got
ladies.
the best wife in the world.
Awesome. So the
Yeah.
wedding is not you and your wife. It's your
That's
daughter.
actually my granddaughter.
Granddaughter. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Well, that's awesome.
and she's getting married to a very fine young man, and we're going to go up to the reception and the shower and all that kind of stuff.
And you're gonna take a shotgun with you and threaten them if you do anything wrong
Oh yeah,
to my
I always give them a list of rules from Grandpa.
Is that what you do?
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
All right.
You know, you have to give these kids guidance.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, they don't want it, they don't read it, but it makes you feel better to give it to them.
Yeah, that's true. All right, folks, it's the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie on Radio St. George 100.3 KDXI, live every Saturday morning, also on Facebook and YouTube. Call or text us at any time. It's 435-879-4100, 435-879-4100, or leave us a comment on Facebook. All right, now what's next?
What's next are succulents.
Okay.
That's a $7 word.
Yeah.
Succulents are really fun and exciting. I always loved them. And
Yeah.
down here, they do a lot better than they do up in, say, Salt Lake.
So what's an example of a succulent?
Oh,
Succulent.
well, you know what? There's hundreds of them.
All right.
And you go over to Star Nursery or to Walmart, and they have these racks of little ones for $3 and big ones for $20. And
So for a guy that has no idea about gardening,
what
what does that mean?
Well, what you do is you pick out the ones you like, because there's different shapes, there's different colors, and so on and so forth. So you pick out the ones that you like, and you take them home and put them in a container or leave them in the original container.
Uh-huh.
But taking care of a succulent is totally different than taking care of a shrub.
So what's the difference?
The difference with the succulent, if you put it in a container, you want to put about 25 or 30% sand in with the succulent. Succulents have to be in soil that drains really well,
Okay.
because overwatering will kill succulents. In fact, usually the reason a succulent dies is because somebody cares too much. You get the succulent potted. You don't put a lot of organic material or compost or fertilizer or anything like that in it. You put some sand in there. You put some loose soil, and you water it about every 10, 15 days with a
Okay.
cup of water. And a lot of people think because cactus is succulent, which we know because we looked it up, that you put the succulents out in the direct sun, and that's not true either.
It's not, because actually I did get a very nice cactus. I don't think if you've seen it yet. I think on Thursday or Friday,
Yeah.
and I put it on my porch. And I thought, well, Woody said that it needs a lot of sun. I don't know if it's going to do well on the porch or not. So,
Well, it's the porch is probably going to be a good place for it. You want it to have maybe 2 to 3 hours a day sun,
okay,
and the rest of the time, especially I think in the afternoon when the sun is really, really hot, it should be in the shade.
okay. So maybe it's a good place for
And
it. I guess we'll find out.
and then watch it. Watch the succulents. You know how their leaves or their branches they're kind of puffy and
Yeah,
kind of like they're pumped up with air.
yeah,
They look like an air mattress that's been inflated.
yeah.
Well,
Or a plant on steroids.
yeah. Well, that's what you watch, and if those leaves start to look sick or they're not full like that, not pumped up, then it's in trouble.
It's a problem. Okay.
Yeah, it's in distress.
Well, everything that I plant dies.
Is in distress. Yeah.
Is in distress. It dies. So this year, hopefully, I'm trying to follow your advice. I'm listening to your fun and garden show on KDXI Radio St. George 100.3 every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, or repeats on Facebook or YouTube. So
I love it when you say those things to me.
well, you know what? I'm desperately trying to.
Well, I got to have some medicine. Wait a minute.
I'm desperately trying to not kill my plants this year. I'm actually watering the plants. Like
Did
you
I
told me
tell you
to.
I have a prescription for this?
Well, I do too. Mine's
Okay,
mine's
all right.
Diet Dew, and yours
This is
is.
Diet Coke.
Oh, I thought yours was chili.
No, it's Diet Coke.
You don't drink chili.
No.
Oh.
I got chili once, and I was shaking all over.
Oh.
Is that the kind of chili you mean?
No. I thought you. Yeah, I thought it was either gravy or chili that you
Yeah,
drink.
I'd rather have mashed potatoes and gravy.
All right, we're doing home and garden show talk. This is a riveting talk. We're talking about succulents.
Okay.
We're talking about watering. We're talking about cactuses.
We're talking about putting some soil in there that drains, and then you want to have make sure you have a container that has a hole in the bottom, and you take a little gravel and you put in there so the hole doesn't get plugged up, and then you put your soil and your sand in there, and you want to make sure that when you water it, it comes streaming out the bottom. Okay? Because it just needs enough moisture that it can take what it wants and let the rest of it go. So, but you can use succulents in the house, outside the house. They do well. If you're going to have them in the house, you want to have them where there's some outside light that comes in.
Yeah.
You don't want them having them in the shade or in the dark. And you can use them for centerpieces. You can use them for a centerpiece on your picnic table outside. You can buy a selection of colors and have different colors and different shapes, because there's so many shapes. And some of them are kind of spiral shaped.
What are some of your favorites?
I like the spiral. I've always been a person that likes the unusual.
Okay.
I like the stuff that I haven't seen before. You know, it's I'm the guy that if I could, I'd plant a pineapple bush in my yard if I could get away with it.
Yeah.
Or a citrus tree, orange, or I'd love to have an avocado tree, but you can't have them here.
You can't have it. Are they?
It's just too cold in the winter to
too
kill them.
cold. Okay.
You can have them if you take them inside, if they're in container.
Or you can have your wife, Mrs. Woody, knit a avocado sweater.
Oh,
a sweater for the avocado plant. So have Mrs. Woody do that.
Yeah, but she's been working on the sweater she's doing for you. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's
it's nice. Yeah.
That's a Christmas present. You should have told me.
You have to go as far south as Laughlin. You know where all Laughlin and Overton is?
Oh, yeah.
They're just enough difference in their climate that they can have citrus trees there.
Okay.
Or Vegas can have citrus trees.
And avocados would do well in Vegas?
Yeah, I think they can.
Okay.
So I had a wonderful dear aunt that I loved a lot that lived in Long Beach, California.
Uh-huh.
And in her backyard, she had this huge avocado tree.
Oh, wow.
And we would go down there and be at her house, and she would say, let's have a nice salad for lunch. And
Yeah.
she'd say, Woody, go out and pick an avocado. And I'd go out there, and she had avocados on her tree that were the size of a softball.
Oh, my goodness.
And you'd pick it off, and you'd go right into the kitchen and peel it and slice it. It was wonderful.
Oh, yeah. I love
Absolutely. I
avocados.
mean, anything that you get off a plant
Mm.
that's freshly grown for salads and for dinner,
Mhm.
you can't beat it.
Yep.
I was reading an article the other day about asparagus, and the chef, he was a chef that was writing about how to use asparagus,
Mhm.
and he was talking about the difference between fresh asparagus out of your garden or the stuff that comes up from Peru and Mexico during our winters.
Mhm.
You know, you'll have asparagus in the stores now year round, but there's a lot of difference in the taste.
Well, I have a great recipe, a great way to prepare asparagus. You put them in the sink a little bit. You let them soak.
Yeah.
Let them soak for maybe about an hour, and then you reach underneath the counter and turn on the
Disposal.
disposal.
Nice. Way
Yep.
to go, Artie.
It's a great way to prepare asparagus.
Yeah.
Yep.
I personally love this. I have an asparagus garden. One of the things that he was mentioning, and I know Artie's kidding, and of course I never kid, but one of the things he mentioned was you should bring it right in from the garden and put it in some boiling water with a little salt and boil it for just a minute or two, and then drain it and either put it in the fridge or put it in a frying pan with some butter or olive oil
Uh-huh.
and a little garlic and saute it. But I had never heard about the boiling in the water first. I'm not sure exactly, but he's a renowned chef, so I guess he knows what he's talking about.
That's awesome. Hey, really quick, Woody, let's do some shout outs. Doug, our good friend Doug from Star Nursery.
Oh yeah,
We love Doug. We love Star Nursery on Sunset. Actually, all locations. I went to the wood mill, the cotton mill. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get some extra strength. What's it called? Weed killer. Anyway, so they're awesome.
Did they
there.
let you in?
Oh yeah.
I told them not to.
They're awesome. We also want to give a shout out to Heston and Ciason and Swanesi. And if I messed up your name, I am so sorry. So if you want to shout out, say hi to us on Facebook. We're Radio St. George 100.3, or you can call or text
Call us with a question.
Yeah, 435-879-4100, or text us with a question, 435-879-4100.
You know, I've got a bone to pick with you.
Why, what happened?
Well, the other night, about midnight, my doorbell rings, and it's the groupies, that are always after our autograph.
We do have radio show groups.
And they wanted an autograph.
Yeah.
And I said, I've decided to charge for my autograph, so you have to pay me. And they said, how much? And I said, 50 cents.
Really?
And they said, well, we'd rather talk to Artie.
Oh.
Because, you charge $50, but they would rather pay for yours
Oh,
than mine.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have women knocking on the doors.
I gave them your address already.
Is that why I
Yeah.
had a
Yeah.
onslaught of people
Yeah.
ringing the doorbell?
You thought that the lawn chair lady was gone.
Yeah.
She's there.
All right, we're talking about succulents and plants that are succulents and what else?
And people that
And
are succulents.
Yes, and people and we talked about cactus.
Yeah.
Tell us about so when speaking about the cactus that's on my what's it called, porch. It's very nice. It's in a nice little ceramic pot.
How big is it?
Maybe about 2 feet tall.
Really?
Yeah. So here's the question I have. If I'm gonna So I have a little I have the cactus on a table, the cactus plant on a table. How the heck do I take the cactus plant without poking the heck out of me and plant it into the ground? I mean, do you just wrap it up? Wrap it with like four or five blankets.
You do it very carefully.
I'm not gonna. I'm gonna make you do that. I'm gonna have you come over. I'll dig the hole. You tell me where to put the plant. You tell me where to dig the hole for the cactus plant, and you help me.
I've got a leather apron that I use for woodworking. I'll bring it over for you.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you not get poked?
If you have a leather apron on, the little pokers go through the apron, and then you can't get them out of your body because it's in the apron.
Well, I want to get some barrel cactuses at Star Nursery, and maybe I'll ask Doug, and I won't ask you.
Those barrel cactuses are really pretty. I like them because of the color.
Those are very, very nice.
Yeah, but they're slow growing.
But how do you plant them without being poked? Because there's thorns everywhere.
I really think you're better off to put them in a container that you can move around. No, really, because like your patio, during the hot part of the summer, the sun's going to be on the front of your house. Your patio's going to be in shade, which is good for you, but you don't want your cactus in shade all day long. It's got to have some sun.
Some sun.
Yeah.
Some sun.
Yeah.
All right, it's the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie on Radio St. George 100.3 KDXI. We're live every Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. Also, you can catch the show anytime at Facebook and on YouTube. All right, we'll be back.
Are we taking a break?
We are. We're
Okay.
going to take a little break. It's Radio St. George, KDXI.
This is Lisa Cyphers, Cajun host of Harvesting Happiness, broadcasting consciously prepared for
Yeah.
inviting you to join me.
What do you think? Are we doing okay?
To learn more about fun in your
Yeah.
I can't hear my own voice today. I hope I'm going out.
You can't hear your voice?
Hello, when I talk. I can hear you in the program and the music, but I can't hear my voice on the.
Harvesting Happiness, Sundays at 4 on Radio St. George 100.3.
Do you see me on the meter when I talk?
I know Poochie from JL.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Just hooked up with
Here,
your Dixie system for our golf cart.
use this one. That's
Custom audio installs, video, and security for your vehicle.
I don't know. No, this is radio.
And after doing this for 34 years, Poochie knows that custom
Mic 3.
Should I use?
Mic 2. Yep, this is mic 2.
in St. George.
No, I don't think it's headphones.
It is the headphones.
Oh, it is?
I promise you.
One of your local McDonald's. McDonald's offers $2,500.
So I can use the other microphone, but these headphones. Huh?
No. Yeah, you can use mic 2, and then you use that one.
The music you hear on Radio Dixie 91.3 is brought to you by
If that doesn't work, you can use this.
and sound for weddings,
Other one.
marathons, outdoor events, sound and light, video screens, and audio rental.
Hello.
For your wedding and event DJ, festivalsounds.com.
Radio St. George is on Twitter, and we invite you to follow us. Post a video and audio from our shows and other quality tweets. Follow us on Twitter at Radio St. George.
Is this Cinco de Mayo this week?
Radio St. George.
It is 11th.
That's today.
11th.
We now return
That's
to
today.
the Garden Show.
Cinco de Mayo
Artie
is
and Woody.
the 5th of May.
Oh.
All right, it's Radio St. George, 100.3 KDXI. It's the Fun and Garden Show with Woody and Artie at Radio St. George 100.3. Live every Saturday morning at 8, also on Facebook and YouTube. You can call or text us at any time. It's 435-879-4100. All right, or leave us a comment on our Radio St. George 100.3 Facebook.
I have a goal today to have somebody call in, but it hasn't happened yet.
Well,
And we're going to talk next.
do you want me to call in? I'll call in.
No, don't do it.
I
Artie.
can
No,
do it because I
no,
know you love it.
No, don't do it. Don't do
You
it.
feel it's not a real radio broadcast unless someone calls in.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'll call. I'll
No,
give us a
don't
call.
do it. Don't do it, Artie.
All right. Okay, now what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about trees a little bit.
Okay.
This is a good time of the year for trees because, it's spring and they're leaving out and they're blooming, and we just had some big rainstorms. The only thing I want to say about trees is as we get into summer and it gets hot, watch your trees. Actually go outside and walk around your yard and look at the trees, look at the bark, look at the leaves. Spring. Look for signs of distress. Like leaves that are turning yellow or brown, or dropping off the tree. Because that's when the insects attack the plant, is when it's in distress. And if you occasionally inspect the plants in your yard, then you can catch the problem before they die. So, especially with trees and shrubs, if you see a big pile of leaves around the bottom of a shrub or a tree, you need to go talk to Doug at Star Nursery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you noticed actually a year or so ago that my tree that's facing west first of all, we noticed a whole bunch of ants. That was the first thing. So we got rid of the ants, and then my tree that faces west is just obviously is subjected to that horrible heat. But
And
the other side looked great, but
it was sunburned on the one side.
It was sunburned, and so we're going to get some latex paint and paint that thing.
Yep.
You first wanted to solve the problem by toilet papering my tree.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. But we decided your neighbors didn't like that.
No, they didn't like the toilet paper.
So we're going to paint it now. But you got to paint it with light colored paint because it has to reflect the heat.
So that's gonna help out.
Yeah, that is.
Okay.
And
hopefully
you get some paint on the tree and not just the gravel underneath.
What else should we look for as far as trees are concerned? And just bugs?
Bugs. Yeah, it's a great time of the year right now to treat it with the Bayer tree and shrub treatment, which works really good.
We love Bayer.
We do, and I love the liquid rather than the granules. That's just my preference. But you just put 2 or 3 tablespoons full in a bucket, fill the bucket up with water, and pour the water around the tree, and it works wonderful.
And you pour the rest in a shot glass for you.
Yeah, actually, this stuff is so powerful. They tell you that you should throw the bucket away afterwards.
No, are you serious?
That's right.
Wow.
Because it's a systemic product.
Oh, freak.
Yeah. There was one story I wanted to tell you about bees.
Okay.
The other day, I'm out checking my raised gardens, my tomato plants and so on, and I hear this buzzing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, what is going on? Is there an airplane going overhead or a helicopter or something? And I looked up in the tree. It was in my neighbor's yard, and it's one of those blue juniper kind of trees. I hate them.
Okay.
But way up in the top, about 30 feet off the ground, there are millions of bees.
Really?
I mean, it looked like a dust cloud.
Now, I thought you liked bees because you have that little bee planter thing that you put up in your tree.
I do, but
you just don't like it because this is the neighbor's yard.
Well,
it's not yours.
And I don't, I like 50 bees. I don't like 50,000.
So it was really that many bees.
Yeah, it was, and I was concerned because you have grandkids over or whatever. Or I'm allergic to bee stings.
Are you?
So yeah. So anyway, I went in and I called Dixie Pest, and Dixie Pest has been around the Dixie St. George area for 30 years, maybe more. And I think his name is Tom, that is the owner. And the gal that answered the phone says, let me get him on the line. And he come on the line, and I told him the problem because I thought, how do I get rid of a beehive that's 30 feet off the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he said, Woody, if you wait a day or two, they'll leave. He says bees won't form a hive up in a tree that far off the ground.
So what were they doing
They
there?
were resting.
They were just resting?
They were swarming, and if they get, they stop and rest.
How can they rest if they're swarming?
I think the queen says time to rest, and everybody stops and finds a branch and whatever.
And they
Yeah, it's crazy. So he says, if you wait a couple of days and they're still there, then you call me back and I'll come get rid of them for you. So I thought, well, that's neat. I don't have to worry about that. So I went outside. This had been maybe an hour after I saw them. And guess what?
They were still there.
They were gone.
They were gone?
They were gone.
Oh.
They must have heard Tom talking on the phone and saying that they were going to leave. And they found out I didn't like them in the yard and they left.
Okay, so
I look up there and there's not one bee.
If you don't like bees, if you're that concerned, why did you put a bee? You actually built a little a bee house, kind of like a bird house.
Yeah.
You put a couple of little chairs in there, and you put a little miniature TV
and a fan.
And a fan.
That I build is for mason bees.
Okay, talk to us about mason bees.
Mason bees are smaller bees than honeybees. They're what we commonly call garbage bees because when you go to the park and you're having a picnic, they're around the garbage can.
So you'd rather...
They're little, but here's the thing about mason bees. They don't have stingers.
They don't?
No.
So that's why you like
God
mason bees.
left the stingers off of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And they pollinate 10 times the flowers that a honeybee does in a day.
Now I can understand why you like them.
Yeah, they're nice.
That makes sense now.
Yeah, and so I put this little mason bee house up in my yard, and that brings in pollinators, and pollinators are great for tomatoes and squash, and none of that would grow or produce fruit if it wasn't pollinated.
And they're little tubes, right? I mean,
right.
Kind of describe it on the radio. It's kind of like little bamboo tubes
they are.
Lined up.
And I think they're 5/16 in diameter, and they stack them in a house, and they're 3.5 inches deep.
Okay.
And they have to be that size. And the little mason bees go in there, and they start at the back end, and they lay eggs. And when they get to the front of it, they seal it off. And then when the little eggs hatch, they eat their way out and fly away in their mason bees.
Cool.
So it's interesting. That there's a story. I like stories. We were watching a documentary, and I kind of hate to watch those because I actually learned something.
Yeah, don't want to learn something.
Yeah, I don't want to learn anything. Over in China, there's a valley over there that is renowned for its fruit, especially its pears. World famous. And years ago, like 50 years ago, they used an insecticide in that valley, like DDT. I don't know if it was that or another one. And they killed all the bees.
Oh.
They killed all the pollinators.
Huh.
Now here's this village in this valley, and all the people make their living off of these fruit trees. And now they don't have pollinators. They go out every spring, and they take a little stick, like the size of a pencil, and they tie feathers on the end, like duck feathers or bird feathers.
Okay.
And they go out and they climb up in the tree, and they take the feathers and they sprinkle the pollen from one flower to another. And they do all of their pear trees.
What?
Yeah.
You're making this up.
No. And they pollinate them by hand.
They do?
That's how important it is.
Why do they just ship in some bees?
Well,
and then tie feathers to the bees.
To the bees. Well, or else get birds that like to pollinate.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. And they spend several weeks in the spring going around doing all these,
That's
you
right.
know, and the little kids are up in the trees, the adults are up in the trees. Everybody's up in the tree with these little, they look like the old feather dusters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that shows you how important
Bees
a pollinator is.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, there are other pollinators other than bees, and one of them that you may not be aware of are ants.
That's
You
right.
know, the little kids are up in the trees, the adults are up in the trees,
flowers
also. Everybody's up
They
in the
do.
tree. In fact, there's some flowers that bees do not pollinate, and they have to have ants to be pollinated. A peony is one of them.
Huh.
And if you don't have ants in your yard, you won't have peonies, blooms on the peonies.
Okay.
Did you know that? You
I didn't know
that.
what a peony was. I thought that sounded like something from Taco Bell.
It's something that your kid rides with a saddle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A peony.
Yeah.
What is a peony? Is it a flower?
It's a flower.
A beautiful
It's
flower. What color?
Yeah, it's a beautiful flower.
What color is
They're
it?
all different colors.
All different. Okay.
And you got to have ants.
You gotta have ants to have the peonies.
And anything, you know, a hummingbird, a bee, an ant, anything that goes in the flower, you know, does the rumba, comes out with some pollen on it, then goes in another flower.
Just the rumba.
The rumba, yeah, that's South American dance.
Yeah, that's a popular South American
Yeah.
dance.
Yeah, and if you watch the little bees that are doing the rumba.
Isn't it Roomba? Have I been saying it the wrong way?
Well,
No, the Roomba is the thing that cleans the floor. The little robot thing that cleans the floor.
Oh yeah, a Broomba. A Broomba. They have a long handle. And,
yes.
And yeah, that's a Broomba. Boy, you're being silly today.
No, I don't know what I'm doing.
I guess this is the fun and garden, huh?
No, let's try to give the people some more
garden stuff.
Garden content, some more important content.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about vegetables. Now that we've got the vegetables in, and our tomato plants are growing. I talked to Rick up in Cedar City at the Ace Hardware yesterday, and he said, last year I had a huge tomato plant. He says this thing was like 6 feet tall and 4 feet across. It was huge. He says, I took pictures of it. Wow. The only thing it didn't have was tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, why is that?
Well, tomato plants are evil. They want to be a great big plant.
Yeah.
Okay. They want to be the biggest plant they can be.
Okay.
You want them to have the biggest tomatoes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have to.
So they're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so you have to use tough love.
Huh.
And that tough love is to take this time of year when they start to grow quickly. You know, the first 3 or 4 weeks they're in, they kind of sit there, and now they're starting to grow, and you have to trim them. And most people get really nervous about trimming tomato plants.
Now, how far do you trim?
Yeah, well, it's like a crew cut.
Okay.
It's like my hair. Yeah.
But I mean, do you just cut off the leaves or the tip of it? Or
I'm going to try to describe it on the radio, which is tough, but if you have any questions about it, why, give us a call and I'll refer you to some websites. Over in England, why gardening is a religion just about. They're very, very serious about gardening. And they trim tomatoes over there. And how they do it is you've got the stalk, which is the center piece of the tomato.
Okay.
Okay. And then you have the limbs that come off of it. Okay. So you have to understand the difference between the stalk and the limbs.
Okay.
Okay. Now, where each limb comes off, a lot of times right where it meets the stalk, it'll start to grow a little leaf. Those are called suckers.
Okay.
And you want to take your finger and pinch that off. Okay, that's the first thing. Then, if you're going to trim them and you're going to force that plant to make bigger tomatoes, if you look at the tomato plant, there are limbs that come off of the stalk that have blossoms on.
Okay.
All right, little yellow blossoms. Those are the ones you like. All right.
The limbs with blossoms are
all right.
good.
Then there's other limbs that have just leaves and no blossoms.
You tear those off.
Well, you don't tear them off quite, Artie, but you take a pair of sharp scissors or nippers and you go back to where it meets the stalk and you get within about 1/8 of an inch of the stalk and you clip it off.
Just carefully clip it off.
Okay, so from head to toe, you want to cut off about 30 to 50% of those limbs that are useless because they take up growth, they take strength away from the tomato, and all of a sudden, after about a week, your tomatoes will start to get bigger.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You've got to force the plant to put its strength into the tomato. So you don't want to trim off all of them. And another thing that the garden books recommend is you take your scissors or your nippers and clean them in like soapy water or dip them in alcohol. Because if you have hoof and mouth disease in one tomato and you trim it and then you go to another tomato, you'll give the other tomato plant hoof and mouth disease.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah, I'm kidding, Artie.
You know what? I think you should just take those. You said the clippers.
No, yeah, I'm serious about.
You should take the clippers instead of washing them because that will take an effort. Just take them back to Walmart and then buy some new ones.
Oh, that'd work. Yeah. But I'm serious about cleaning the scissors or the clippers.
Okay. Because
you will transfer a disease. I'm not serious about hoof and mouth. That's more like for cows and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So it isn't. It'd be more like fungus or mildew or a virus. Tomatoes actually get viruses. So that's why you have to be careful where you cut off that limb. You don't want to leave an inch of it sticking out, and you don't want to cut it so close to the trunk that it scars the trunk. You've got to be careful about your clipper in there, okay? And then the other thing is take your little hands, your little fingers, or your big fingers in my case, and the limbs you cut off, get them out of there because they'll lay on the soil and they'll start to mold and mildew, and that'll come up on the plant. So you've got to keep the area around the tomato plant at the bottom clean. You don't want a lot of debris around that.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right, that makes sense?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'm listening.
I must have done something wrong if it makes sense.
No, I'm listening. I'm participating in the program.
I'm trying to educate you, buddy.
I'm really excited about trimming plants.
Yeah.
And pollinating bees with little feathers.
The other thing I would recommend is if you go to Star, I'm trying to remember if Walmart carries it. I'm sure Lowe's does, but I know Star does, and get the Blossom set. And it's $10 for a quart bottle. It has a little sprayer on top like the Windex bottle. And you go around to your tomatoes, and where there's 2 or 3 blossoms there, little yellow blossoms, you spray them. You mist them. You, what's the word they use? Not misting, but spritz them. You spritz them.
Okay. And what does that do again?
It makes the tomato blossom set and turn into a tomato.
Okay.
And the reason it does that is it has a hormone in there that the plant needs. And it has a mineral in there that the plant needs, and it's called calcium. Now you can do the same thing if you buy bone meal and put it at the bottom of the plant and mix it with the dirt and then water the plant. Tomatoes and squash and cucumbers need calcium to set their blossoms.
Okay.
So if you notice that your blossoms, if you go out there one day and there's 10 blossoms on a tomato plant, and you go out there a couple of days later and there's no blossoms and there's no tomatoes, you need to get some calcium on that tomato plant.
Didn't know that.
Because you'll grow it all summer and you won't have any tomatoes, which is a bad thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you can use the blossom set on cucumbers. They have little yellow trumpet-shaped flowers that turn into cucumbers.
Okay.
And also the squash with the big yellow flowers. You can, squash is kind of fascinating. The big flowers. I mean, they're huge. They're, they're like 4 inches across.
Yep.
And when they open, they're big.
Yeah.
When a bee goes in there and pollinates that, and the bee leaves, the flower will turn and close.
It will?
Because it doesn't want the pollen to get away from it.
Speaking about getting away from something,
Yeah,
your mouth was getting away from the microphone.
I was.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay.
I didn't mean to
Let
embarrass
me kiss
you.
it.
No, I didn't. Now I embarrassed you. I'm
No,
sorry.
you're right.
But no, it was fascinating. So okay, so
the
flower
locks itself shut.
locks itself shut.
And then in a day or two, why at the bottom of that flower, there's a squash starting to grow, and the flower drops off, and you've got a little teeny squash about 1 inch long, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
No kidding.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating?
No, that is neat.
See how gardening is a wonderful world?
No,
of
it's
things?
fun.
Yeah.
Gardening's fun.
Yeah.
I'm
gardening's
learning
fun.
a lot. Thanks for doing the show, Woody.
Yeah. Well, I'd do anything for you.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun.
It's been a hunk of heaven.
Absolutely.
Let's see. What else can we talk about? My blackberries are doing really well. I probably have 20 million blackberries on my plants.
No kidding.
Yeah. I have all these berries on, and the blackberry produces berries on the second year wood, so you have to be careful how you trim them.
Mm-hmm.
But up at the top of all my blackberry plants, they're just covered with berries. They're green right now, and they're about the size of a small marble.
Okay.
But they're going to get bigger and bigger, and then they're going to start to turn black. And they actually get almost 1 inch long. And they are wonderful. They make wonderful jelly and jam and just to eat fresh.
How long do those last until we get the 110-degree weather? They're going to do well, and then once we get that hot weather, they're just done. They throw in the towel for the season.
I've got blackberries that I've purchased that bear once in June. And then I've got some new ones that they've developed that bear twice a year. They'll bear in June, and then they'll bear again in September.
Wow. Okay.
And so you get a little more productivity out of them. But raspberries, a lot of people love raspberries. Up in Salt Lake, they grow raspberries, and Logan and those places. But it's too hot down here for raspberries. The plants will die.
So don't even try.
But blackberries do well down here. So, but the issue with blackberries is the plant will cost you $10 to $15 for a good plant, and it takes 3 or 4 years for it to get big enough to start bearing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you have to be patient.
It's
with
a
it.
long-term investment kind of thing.
Interesting.
It's like asparagus. Do you know about planting asparagus?
No.
You buy the roots.
You
dig a trench. You cover the roots, and you let them grow for about 3 years. You don't harvest them. You let the stalk come up, and it turns into a seed, kind of like a fern.
Oh, wow.
But all the time that's happening, down below in the dirt, the root's getting bigger and stronger, bigger and stronger. And about 3 years into this process, they start coming up, and they're about as big around as your little finger.
Wow.
And then you start cutting them and taking them into the kitchen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. All right, now, what are you doing?
I'm not doing it. The computer's doing it.
Well, what?
Here we have.
It's our galloping music.
It's 5. We have 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes, and it's warning us.
It's warning us.
It's warning us.
All right, I'll turn it down because it distracted us. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it's okay. I just wondered if my clock was wrong.
No. We have 5 more minutes of talking about asparagus.
I want to tell you that there's a lot of places in town that their seed displays are full up, and it's a great time of the year to buy seeds. I this year put in some lemon cucumbers. Now you know what a cucumber looks like, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Well, the lemon cucumbers, the vine looks the same, the flowers look the same, but when the cucumber comes on, it's round like a hard ball. And it turns yellow when it's ripe, and they are so mild and they're white inside, and you can actually pick them off the vine and cool them down and eat them like an apple.
No kidding.
Yeah, or you slice them into a salad. You know how some cucumbers will make you have indigestion, and they call them, they make you burp.
Yeah.
Well, not the lemons. The lemon cucumbers are very mild, and they're wonderful. And the other kind of cucumber that I want to put a plug in for are Armenian cucumbers.
Armenian.
Have you ever heard of those?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
But I don't know the difference between them all. So
Well,
tell us about what is Armenian.
Armenians are they're the shape of a cucumber, but they're lighter in color. They're like a real pale green, but they get 8, 10, 12 inches long, and they start to curl up.
Oh, okay.
And you can, when they get ripe, you pick them and you peel them, and they're real mild and they're wonderful. A lot of people only grow Armenian cucumbers.
Just a different taste.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the other kind of cucumber that's popular, I've never tried, are the Oriental cucumbers. And they sell them in the market. You'll see them, and they're wrapped in saran wrap, and they're about 14 inches long, and they're dark green.
Oh, okay.
Those are Oriental cucumbers.
Those are super expensive. I've seen.
Yeah,
those.
but I never tried them. I don't know if it's worth the effort or not. If there's anybody out there that knows, they could call us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be.
That would
intriguing.
be wonderful.
Okay, so cucumber.
Another garden thing that I know absolutely nothing about is corn. I've
Corn.
never grown corn.
So we're not going to talk about corn.
Well,
we're talking about not talking
unless
about corn.
one of our listeners knows about corn, but I've never had a big enough lot to grow corn, and I don't know anything about growing it other than I love corn on the cob.
Oh, it's delicious.
Oh, it's great
with butter.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just throw the corn away and I just eat the butter.
You know that. Well, I drink the butter, but one thing I've learned from selling the seeds for corn is if you read the literature on the back of the package, there's different amounts of sugar that are in different kinds of corn. And if you like sweet corn, you should grow the type that are it'll say sweet corn on it. And there's types of corn that have less sugar and types that have more. There's probably 15 different kinds of corn seeds that they sell in the displays here in town. So, and that's me being corny. That's the only reason I talked about corn, so I could use that joke.
So you can do that joke.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Are we almost done?
Sure. Yeah, we can throw in the towel here soon.
No. The other thing that's really easy to grow that you should grow, two things: radishes and onions.
Okay, those do really well.
Do really well.
This time.
And if you go over to Lowe's, they have radish tapes that have the seed in the tape, and you just lay it in the trench and cover it. And the radishes are spaced.
Oh, that's what the tape does.
Yeah, and they have onions that are in tape, and they have what else? Spinach that's in tape. And when you buy the package, you open it, it's a piece of white. It looks like white masking tape, and it's like 12 feet long. And you dig a little trench in each deep, put it down, and cover it.
Oh, and Star has those too.
Yeah. So that's a good thing, and it makes it easy. And your garden looks really good because it looks like you got out a tape measure and you measured every seed.
Perfect. Well, let's wrap up the show. Are you going to give the closing prayer?
I am, but I'm going to wait till we're off the air. I always thank the Almighty for making it through the show.
Yeah, exactly. All right, folks, it's the Fun Garden Show with Woody and Artie on Radio St. George, KDXI. Thanks for tuning in.
It's been a hunk of heaven.
Oh, awesome. All right, we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
To the Garden Show. For audio and or video of the show, go
I
to
think that went
Facebook or
pretty good.
YouTube, Spotify.
I'm always amazed when I go home and listen to it because it's always better than what I think when I'm doing it.
Until next week.
Well, I hope I didn't add too many goofy things.
No,
I
I
think
think
the goofy thing is
I think it was great.
maybe a little bit too much.
I think it was great.
If I'm too goofy, then it's,
I'm
I don't
excited
know.
when we get our website up.
Uh-huh.
So, like today, we would go in and put a reference on succulents and
Yep.
different things, you know.
I already did. I did the